Hi there, this is Nick Dolge again. I would like to talk today about several important things that really disturb me. And it's happening now. It's really something strange. And you keep wondering, how is it possible if there is God? How God can allow this to happen? What I'm talking about? I'm talking about one of the biggest churches in the world. That's the Russian Orthodox Church. That's one of the big Christian churches which are considered to be so-called authentic. One of the churches which presumably date back to the Christ himself. So what's happening with this church now? You may be surprised that this church is now deeply married with one communist party, which is there in the ex-Soviet countries. Why? Because you can see like communist party leader meeting with the leaders of the church, and also you can easily see people in the pro-government demonstrations carrying the portraits of Stalin, and also some church priests and some old ladies carrying crosses and carrying some icons of Christ and stuff like that, and they are peacefully coexisting at the same pro-government demonstrations. The former USSR countries are more or less drifting away from the currently accepted democratic way of development. For example, in Russia, the government is oppressing free speech more and more, and the church is supporting that. Also, the Russian government is openly fighting the neighboring countries that are trying to join the Western world. You probably know what's happening in Ukraine. And what is happening was supported by the Russian Orthodox Church. You might probably know that the Russian Orthodox Church is deeply married with the business. The patriarch, the main guy, similar to what Pope is for the Catholic Church, the patriarch Kirill is someone who has a very big fortune. He is actually one of the richest guys in the world. He has several $billion. He has planes, luxury cars, luxury watches, like several $100,000 worth, and they are involved in really ridiculous scandals when the webmasters of their website tried to Photoshop the hand of Patriarch to remove his expensive watch, but they forgot to remove it from the mirroring image on the table. It was a really ridiculous scandal, very well known in Russia and in Ukraine and in other countries where the Russian Orthodox Church is powerful. And I keep wondering, if they are God's people, then how is it possible? How can this be? And for example, the same church in Ukraine was deeply involved in corruption, in dirty pro-government schemes with falsifications of elections, when against the laws, the priests of the church were preaching to vote for one person and against another person on the day of the election, which was completely against the law. And it's actually a business, very big business enterprise, corrupt enterprise. What they are doing now they are actually taking over some lands, some land scandals, some property scandals. They can, for example, take a land plot where a hospital for children should have been built, and they built a little church there. And in that church, they collect a lot of money just for about everything. And it's very easy to see a priest coming in a Mercedes-Benz, and it's for some reason it's considered to be just fine. And it's like if you go to a Mercedes-Benz car shop, you can easily see there very, very expensively dressed priests from this Orthodox church. I wonder, how is it possible, how people can tolerate that, and how people can still believe them? How can that be happening for years, for I would say centuries, because this church has been with the Russian Tsars, who committed huge atrocities towards people, and they backed the Tsars up all the time. And you might be surprised that an interesting thing is happening in Russia now. On one hand, the state is whitewashing Stalin, and it's more or less considered to be a very good figure now in the history of humankind, because he created that big empire, and the current Russian government is desperately trying to restore the same empire. At the same time, the Russian government has a very pro-church position. Church is playing the government card. And, for example, in the schools, they have removed astronomy from the classes, and they've established foundations of the Eastern Christian church as subjects to study, just for every person in a class, no matter what's the religious background of that person is. And as a result, the level of education is decreasing. The quality of the education is decreasing, and the level of the number of people that consider themselves to be religious is growing. It's growing most rapidly. So that's you can think for yourself what's going on. Fewer and fewer free newspapers, free internet, mass media are open, and the church supports that. Why are we talking about this? Because I think that it's logical and it's reasonable to believe, if the God was there, if the God was so benevolent, if he was thinking for people, if he was caring for things should be fair, he would never allow this to happen by the hands of people that are presumably his voice, his hands here on earth. So I encourage you to think, I encourage you to question, I encourage you to think, how can it be that the Christian God is allowing to be happening all these things at this time, at this age, when there is internet, when there is information. And I encourage you to think out of the box and think out of your community, think out of your country, and to consider what's happening worldwide, how how this is possible, and what are the consequences of all this stuff. This video has been a bit random, but it's part of the series that I'm doing for the situation with the church and with the religion in the former USSR. I hope that this has been interesting for you. I would like to know your comments, your thoughts. Maybe you have additional information. If you like the video, please make the thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Bye.